to Maneuvering Music, a vocal music podcast based at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. My name is Carrie Sullivan, and I am pleased to be your host for today's episode. Today we'll be talking about the self-production of music, what it means for artists who pursue it, and how it can revolutionize the world of performance art as we know it. What can classical musicians learn from bedroom pop and Soundcloud rappers? That may sound like a question that has never been asked and that perhaps shouldn't be, and maybe in another time and place that would be a correct assumption. However, amid a global health emergency and daily cancellations of gigs that would have put food on the table for millions of artists around the world, we might have to start taking what we can get. The self-production of music is not a new concept by any means. Before sound recording technology had been invented, the only way to hear a piece of music was to see it performed live, or to perform it yourself. While you could pay for a ticket to see a professional musician play a symphony or sing a folk song, it largely depended on what was being performed near you. And so, self-production existed as amateur musicians learning pieces of music on their own to play for themselves and their friends. In the early 20th century, the phonograph and radio took over as the main driving force behind the music industry, and record labels were the companies publishing and distributing the vast majority of recorded music around the world. But what of artists who were up and coming and did not have enough experience or following to be picked up by a label? Until about the 1970s, independent labels struggled to push through the massive influence of the big companies. Over time, though, independent creators became more seen in the music industry, and now musicians as famous as Ed Sheeran, Bon Iver, and Macklemore got their start as independent musicians. For someone with no prior experience in producing, this may seem immensely difficult, and like it's only reserved for certain genres of music. But is it really as complicated as it seems? And can self-produced music really be exclusive to only a few different types of sound? And more importantly, can classical musicians find their footing during this time by becoming their own personal producers? Let's discuss it in detail. Alright, so here we are at our talk segment once again. I'm here with Eric Rydell,
Hello.
a fellow classmate now. He goes to Miami as of last week, and also a fellow self-produced musician. So, Eric, I'm going to have you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us anything that's important about you that you feel like we need to know.
Absolutely. So, hi, my name is Eric Rydell. I'm coming to you from the east side of Cincinnati, Ohio. I am an incoming freshman at Miami. Well, I'm not incoming anymore. I am a freshman at Miami, which is so crazy to say, but I'm really loving it. Right now, I'm working on my first music project, I guess. It's going to be a self-titled album, and it's going to be releasing on a lot of different streaming platforms, and it's really kind of getting myself immersed into the world of songwriting and commercial music, and I'm having a lot of fun producing it and stuff.
Amazing. Spectacular. So refresh my memory. I feel like I know this, but I can't think of it. So is your project, did you start before COVID, or is this like a pandemic project for you?
Yeah, so I actually started this around, I'd say, February. So it was kind of right before the pandemic hit, but a bulk of the work obviously has been, around this time. I really started picking up steam around April and May and stuff, and then I took a break from it. I kind of lost a little bit of motivation for it, but I'm getting back into it now, and I'm hoping to release it by the end of the year.
Awesome. For context, audience, I'm here because I also have some music in a similar style. I don't do it so much anymore because I'm focusing on, the classical music now since, I'm in college, and that's kind of what I want to focus on. But for a while I played ukulele and I sang and I wrote my own songs. Need to turn my notification sound off the next time I record this. So I have, 1, 2, 3... Oh, how many albums do I have?
I think you have 4. I'm pretty sure you have 4 or 5. I was only just looking at your Spotify yesterday.
Yeah, I think, okay, yeah, I have 3 full-length albums, 1 EP, and 1 Christmas album.
That's the one.
I really was enjoying my life and just making music for a while there. So, yes, that's all on Apple Music and on Spotify. This is not a plug. I'm not telling you to listen to it. I'm just
you don't have to say it's a plug, but we all know it's a plug.
We all know it is. Yeah. So, yeah, that's my experience, and then that's Eric's experience. So, I don't know about you, but when I'm writing music, it comes from a place of I'm going through something and I need some way to let it out of my body. So my first album...
That is exactly how I am.
Right, my first album came from a place of I just had this traumatic experience in my love life, and I'm going to write 9 songs about it and force my family and friends to live my trauma alongside me. And then my other albums, there was one that I did about my senior year of high school because there was a lot going on, obviously. If you, dear listener, have been a senior in high school, you know how it be. And then the third album was more of an upbeat and up-tempo album about my current relationship. But it's all about things that I feel and that I feel like I need to get out and write and sing because singing is so expressive. I'm wondering... I see you nodding, Eric, on the video call, but I'd like to hear how you relate to that. You are
saying nothing but facts. Yes, absolutely. I feel like it's not only a thing of getting it out to other people, but I think it's also a way, whether it be for closure or for clarity or anything, just for myself. It's a very personal experience as well as a very interpersonal experience. And so I think definitely it just helps me, and I think it helps others that can identify with my music when they listen to my music and when I record, produce, and listen to my own music, for sure.
Absolutely. So what, I feel like I also know this too, but I'm not known for doing my research before I do things, but so what is your instrument in your music? Are you playing an instrument, or is it digital, or what's the deal?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the tracks are purely digital, but definitely some of the tracks include some of my own personal piano playing with my own piano as a sample, and I love the sound of my piano, so I try to use it as often as possible. But when I am physically incapable of playing something that I write, I just put it into my software, and that's kind of how it goes.
And that is how it be. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, it is how it be, really. But yeah, piano and voice are really just kind of my instruments of choice.
Right, exactly. I've never been a piano player, and I've also, my hands are too small to play the guitar, so it's the ukulele for me, but anyway. So, probably the main sort of hoop to get over, because you can write songs and just play them for your family, but like the main thing when you're trying to release digital music is how. So you need, a microphone, you need software to sort of, mix and put things together. And that can be daunting, and I remember it being daunting when I first did it.
Oh yeah.
I'm wondering, well, I used, for my very first album, actually, it seems like it would be a lot harder than it is, but for my first album, I literally used the microphone on my corded Apple headphones, connected to my phone, and I mixed everything in GarageBand. Now, was the audio great? No. It was very...
hang on. No. I should clarify for you here. You are being very, very hard on yourself. I think that sounded very good. Okay,
thanks.
If you are out there and you're like, I need to produce music, there is absolutely nothing wrong with using an Apple headphone mic and GarageBand as long as you are good at it.
You know what? You're right.
It sounds totally great.
You're right. I take back the self-hatred there. It's fine.
Yes, exactly. You are deterring people here.
There's a little bit of, staticness in the background. It's not the best quality microphone of all time, but sure. if you're looking to just write your music and put it out there at no cost, use what you already have.
Exactly.
And honestly, the sort of mid to low quality of the headphone microphone kind of adds to the aesthetic, like the background.
Exactly,
pop, the
it really
bedroom
can.
pop. It really makes
can.
it sound more, authentic. So
Absolutely.
I mean, if you've got something like that, embrace it. Make it part of your thing. For my second and all, albums after that, I used the money that I got from making CDs and selling them to my friends and family to buy a blue Snowball Ice mic, which I liked a lot better. It's harder to use in that you have to get adapters to connect it, if you're not using a computer with a USB. And I had trouble, I can't plug in an adapter and headphones at the same time. It was kind of annoying, but the quality was a little bit better. So that's what I did. Now, what are you doing, Eric?
So, I have a couple things actually that I wanted to talk about for this little thing. So, first of all, if you are more of a sheet music person, I should say that a lot of contemporary, especially when you go like full electronic instruments and stuff, a lot of contemporary softwares will use a piano roll, which is basically just you have a little piano icon on the side of your screen, and then you put little boxes in different time increments to represent what notes you want played at what times. It has nothing to do with sheet music. If you know piano, it's going to be really easy to catch on to. If you don't know piano, I would stick to some more traditional songwriting softwares out there. You've got Noteflight, which is entirely free. You've got MuseScore, which is entirely free. And obviously, things like Noteflight, they have subscription services. I currently am on Noteflight Premium. I don't use it all the time, but I have Noteflight Premium, and it's nice. I don't even know, it's like $50 a year or something like that. But you can go with that. And then, on the other side of that, if you really want the more intuitive softwares for pure just sheet music writing, if that's what you need right now, you have the side where, it's all free, everything's good. And then you have the $600 softwares like Finale and Sibelius and the really, really, really expensive stuff, but it's fantastic. And so I'm currently saving up to get Finale. But right now, Noteflight Premium is pretty much my go-to for actual sheet music. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of like something you can get on your phone, and this app is available on the App Store and Google Play. So if you are on an Android device and you can't get GarageBand, this is the software for you. It costs $15, and it is called FL Studio Mobile. And FL stands for Fruity Loops, and that's the name of the software, but it originates from the computer software called Fruity Loops Studio. And they have a mobile version, and that is what I am using to mix the entirety of my album. It's just my phone. And it is awesome. I love it. And it is worth every penny of your $15 purchase. It is phenomenal. It's got a ton of MIDI instruments, and it can sound really realistic. You've got a ton of mixing options. I mean, it is the real deal for mobile producing. Seriously, I did not regret buying it at all. So I would recommend FL Studio Mobile.
Sounds amazing. I mean, like, to have a one-time purchase like that, like, it's not a subscription.
It's fantastic.
It's, that's something that definitely is a issue for me when things are a subscription. It's like, okay, this is racking up really fast. So yeah, anything that's going to be a one-time purchase is definitely something to look for. So that's in terms of if you're using your phone, which is completely fine, and honestly, like, sometimes the best option. If you're on computer, whether that be PC or Mac, another one I would recommend is Audacity. I've never used it to make music, but I do use it to mix these podcasts. And it's not a beautiful software. It's really not. And it can be hard. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it is completely free, which is crazy considering the amount of things it can do. And it's got pretty much anything that you would want to do. I mean, as long as you can figure out how to use it, it can do anything you want it to do. So that's definitely something I would recommend. And also, if you already have an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, or if you feel like you would use one if you had one, Audition on the Adobe Creative Cloud, that's another good one. It's a little bit prettier than Audacity, but it's not free. But if that's something that you have, that's also another really great option for audio mixing. there's not a shortage of options out there. I mean, from free to, reasonably priced subscription. If you're looking for software to do this, it's out there. It really is out there.
Yep.
So there's that. What else? When it comes down to, just the technical aspects of it, it's mostly clear cut. But something else that I wanted to talk about was kind of what you get out of doing projects like this. I know that I mainly started my project for personal reasons, for catharsis reasons, and for artistic outlet reasons. But then I noticed that when I actually released the project, the overwhelming support from my family and friends was literally crazy. And
it's crazy, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I was really going through it when I was making this album, and then I released it, and all my friends and family were right there telling me, how proud they were of me and how they loved my music. And it literally, it was like a big fat Band-Aid, aloe vera,
yes.
Essential oils. That's what happened when I released my music.
Yes.
So not only was the actual creation of the music helpful for me, but also, the outpouring of support when it actually was released. And, the place where I live does these sort of outdoor concerts during the summer, and they had me do a short set on one of the concerts. So I played live, and, this huge group of my friends came and were watching me and put me on Snapchat, and we took this big group photo after, and seriously, that was literally probably the second happiest moment of my life. Seriously.
Yeah, the payoff is so real. It's so real. Especially
Absolutely.
When you're really trying to get yourself out there, and after you release the album, you have to realize that, if this is something that you want to do multiple times, it doesn't stop after you just release it. The grind doesn't stop. You've got to publicize it even more. You can't just say, all right, it's on Spotify, let's move on. No, you have to publicize it. You have to go out, you have to perform, you have to do live, you have to do everything you can to get your name out there to your community so it spreads even more to other communities. And that is key. That is 100% key. And if you do that, the payoff, like I said, is very real. It's very real.
It's so real. And then also, you don't make a lot of money from streams unless you're Beyonce and you're getting millions of streams. You're not really making any money from streams. I mean, it's a fraction of a cent per stream. I think out of all of my music combined, so that's 3 albums, an EP, and a Christmas album, I think I've seen maybe $50. And I don't even think that was in my bank account. I think it's still in PayPal somewhere. I should probably figure that out.
Oh, beautiful.
So if you're looking to kind of find some sort of monetary gain from this, it's really hard as an independent artist. So either you need to go viral on TikTok and have a bunch of people stream your thing, or
very valid method. Very valid. If you can do it, all props to you if
absolutely.
You can do it.
And it seems to be
possible.
Fairly easy as well, because I've seen so many self-released projects on TikTok that have just blown up. There are so
TikTok
many great musicians out there. Something that I mentioned before that I did, nobody listens to CDs anymore. That's just a fact of life. Not one person listens to CDs. However, what I will say is that in terms of the aesthetic, a lot of people, if they're your friend and, you release this album and, you kind of have this, underground, bedroom indie type of situation, it's very profitable for you to make CDs. I mean, I bought on Amazon the little clear CD cases in a large pack, and blank CDs, and I just burned them in my PC, and I went to the library and printed out color copies of an album cover, and I just made them, and I sold them to people for $5 for 9 songs.
Still have
$5.
Still have mine.
Good. I still have mine too. I have them all in my car. I am a collector of my own music, actually. I made enough money to purchase a new microphone for my next project, and I still had some left over. And that's me, who, I was not very well liked in high school, but I still had enough friends willing to purchase my music that I made, close to, maybe $100 off of that. So that's something that, you know, you wouldn't think that anybody would actually want it, but like seriously, your close friends will be so excited about your music releasing that they'll be like, yes, I'll take 10. I will take your CDs. So that's something. I'm just, you know, put that out there. I don't know if you wanted to reply to that anyway, Eric, or if you just wanted to move on.
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, I think another very possible way to gain money is just performing live, whether that being actually scheduling a venue. You know, if you've got the money for that, if you've got the time, if you've got every resource you need to actually, you know, go to a venue and perform a scheduled concert, then go you. Personally, I have a local drive-in theater right by my town, and we have a couple, you know, bands every summer. Once it's open, they go and perform there. Like, we have the Bare Naked Ladies, very popular Cincinnati band. If you're not familiar with the Bare Naked Ladies, they were there, and it's a great place to just perform. You just drive up like you're going to see a movie, but you just see a concert, and it's awesome. And it's COVID friendly, so that's a plus. And honestly, you can perform on the streets. There's nothing wrong with performing on the streets.
Absolutely.
With putting out a tip jar. There's nothing wrong with that. If you can do it, all props to you.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And I forgot about that too, because that live gig did pay, I mean, it didn't pay a lot, but it paid.
Sure.
Was,
anything counts.
That was really rewarding. I mean, you know, to have somebody pay me to put on my art for them. It was really great. So that's definitely a route that I would seek. I mean, you know, it's one thing if your music is entirely digital and you would need like a certain setup, as long as you have that setup, or as long as you can get that setup from someone else. It's a lot easier if you're an instrumentalist and you just like have that instrument, like, you know, a ukulele weighs like 2 pounds and you can just, if that, I mean, it's not heavy at all. And like, you know, you just drag it up there and play your little set and then walk away.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so it's easier for some than it is for others. But I mean, figure it out. Figure out a way to do it. That's the whole thing about being a musician, is being able to be, you know, versatile and figuring out how you can produce your art in any situation. So whether you're in a well-stocked concert venue or, you know, on the streets of downtown Cincinnati or Chicago or whatever, I mean, figuring out a way to take what's in your artist's brain and put it out into the general public, that is something that you absolutely have to be able to do to make it as a musician. So figure that out, I guess.
Yeah, if you're creative enough to create an entire music project, you are far more capable enough to go and publicize it. Exactly. There are so many ways you can do it. You just have to put your mind to it, and that's really the only thing. And that's why I say it doesn't stop after you just release it electronically. It doesn't stop there. Yeah.
Once you get to a certain point as well, merchandising, I never ventured into that because I was never really as dedicated to that particular art as probably I should have been. But if you're, you know, once you get past that point of doing, you know, live shows and selling records, merchandising is definitely something to do.
Absolutely.
If the interest is there, you kind of have to make sure that your profits are going to outweigh your costs. That's something that's dangerous about that. But it's there, and I know a lot of musical acts make most of their money from merchandising. So look into that. Go to Michael's and buy some paint and just go crazy, you know? So, I mean, it's relatively easy to make your own music and to put it on the internet and to put it in your friend's car stereo and to, you know, get it out there. And if you're thinking of doing it, I would absolutely recommend it. It's crazy rewarding and it's crazy fun. So do it. If you're thinking of doing it, then do it.
Right, 100%.
So something, of course, we have to bring, you know, the pandemic into the situation. That's kind of why we're talking about this. Now that many artists have their main form of performance just indefinitely obsolete, digital music production is going to be, for a while, the only way for people to get their music out there, whether that's making a cover video and putting it on YouTube or producing your whole album and putting it on Spotify. If you're a performance artist, this is all you have. And we don't know how long it's going to last either, especially with, music playing being one of the more dangerous activities.
Oh, totally.
Especially singing. If you can't figure out how to do the digital music, then you're going to fall behind your peers, and you don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
So, bringing it to classical music, because we're both classical musicians.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a vocal music podcast.
Oh, yes.
Eric, would you ever do this same sort of process with classical music, and how would you do it if you did?
1,000% yes. 1,000% yes. And honestly, in any genre, whether you're talking about, I'm going to make an album, but it's only going to be opera, or it's only going to be art song, or whatever, and people are going to be like, you're weird. You're going to get called weird by a lot of people that aren't classical musicians. They're going to be like, you're such a weirdo. And it could be disheartening, but it's honestly so personal. It's totally up to you how you take that. And it's like that with any genre. Not everyone's going to, love every single song you ever make. Not everyone's going to love every single genre you ever decide to delve into. The fact of the matter is I have a lot of, like, old-fashioned family members, and they're not really happy that I'm making an album that is almost fully electronic. They're not really happy with it. And it can sound realistic, sure, but the authenticity is something that's very important for some people, and obviously there's many more aspects that can, come into play with this kind of stuff, but it's really all up to your own personal preference and the preference of your audience. You have to weigh those two things. And so I think it's not really any different from producing any kind of other genre. I mean, I saw Andrea Bocelli live in concert like a year ago, and we got a CD and we still listen to it. Like, Andrea Bocelli produces opera CDs. It works. But he's Andrea Bocelli. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is that you're talking about Eric Rydell and Carrie Sullivan versus Andrea Bocelli. So
Exactly.
there's just a little bit of a difference. We're almost there.
Right, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm almost Celine Dion.
No, you have to do what you love. You have to do what you love. If you love it, there should be nothing stopping you. If it's your passion, you're not going to care about people calling you weird. You're not going to care about people who, say it's not going to do well, or you're not going to succeed in that. If that's something you want to do, you put your mind and your effort into it, and no one should stop you from doing that but yourself.
Exactly. You're so right. And I mean, if you don't know that you could go on Spotify and listen to Susan Graham, Renee Fleming, Kathleen Battle,
Yes.
like, just do anything that they've ever done on, Apple
Right.
Music. Like, what rock are you living under? Like, seriously. That's
Exactly.
where I get all of my classical music from,
Yep.
is online. I mean, it all exists there, and it can be done. When Kathleen Battle does it, it's, in a studio with, like, the best microphones and, crazy, amazing piano and, like...
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's definitely different acoustically, too.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sing, like a Gilbert and Sullivan aria for a tenor and expect to have the same setup as you would if you're singing, like, a little love song for your little commercial album. You can't do that. You're going to have to find another setup, whether it's you're going to have to be farther away from your miking, or the mixing's going to be different. There's going to be a lot of things that are probably unfamiliar. But again, it is perfect experience for just if this is something you plan to do long term. Something like that, to where you're doing something completely different and out of your comfort zone, is 100% yes. It's a lot of yes.
Exactly. So, I mean, really the only concern with it is copyright. But as long as you're doing songs that were written before 1920, you're pretty much safe. So definitely, if you're going to do it, check into the copyright first and make sure that you can do that song without having to pay royalties to somebody else.
Very true.
But, I mean, if you're going to do, like, an aria from, like, L'Orfeo, like, 1607, like, okay, so we got that, first of all. That's okay.
Not a problem.
But then, okay, so all you need is a room, a microphone, and somebody to accompany you. I mean, seriously, like, it depends on what kind of sound you're going for. If you want more of a studio type of sound, then, find a room with that's not going to give you a lot of echo and a lot of, feedback. And, either you could record it all live in one take and have both of you playing and singing at the same time, or you could have the accompanist record their part. If it's not possible to do it at the same time because of COVID reasons, obviously, one live performance is always preferable. But if it's not possible, have your accompanist, play their part and do that recording, and then send that to you, and then put that in your little headphones and set up your mic and sing along to the recording and go in Audacity and put it together. Like, seriously, it is the exact same process as creating those commercial albums.
Yep, and it is so much less work for your accompanist if you just ask them, hey, and you don't even have to be with them when they do it. Chances are, if you have a good accompanist, they're going to have a room in their house where they can, record stuff already on the piano. They're going to have a room that is acoustically good, which is why they put their piano there. In most cases, I should say.
Right.
And so the fact of the matter is that you can just be like, hey, I'm trying to record this just for a little project of mine. Could you send me the piano part? All you have to do is send them a PDF of the score if they don't have it. They record it. They send it your way. You put it into whatever the heck kind of software you want to use, and you do as many takes as you want, and they only have to do one.
Yeah. It's so easy. In some ways, it's easier than even doing, your own music by yourself.
Exactly.
So
you're having someone do half the work for you.
Right, exactly. Or if you would rather have a different sound to it, you could even mimic a live performance by going into more of an acoustically, reverby type of room. I'm thinking like a church sanctuary, for example. Those are some of the best rooms for singing. They were built for singing. Listen. If you if you've never sung in a church sanctuary before, sis, you need to do that. That will make it will erase all of your mistakes. You will sound like a Met Opera singer if you sing in a church.
Yes.
So you could go in the church and go with your accompanist or with, whoever's playing for you, and set up your mic, in probably the best seat in the room, which could be up front, could be up back in the back, could be in the middle, depending on where you are. Actually, the church that I've recorded audition videos at before has mics already set up in the rafters.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, especially when you talk about more contemporary churches. When they record stuff, I go to a big mega church. That is my church of choice. I go to a mega church, and so they actually have their own music accounts where they record their own contemporary Christian church music, and they can release it. And so they have fantastic mic systems. And honestly, if you want to go to one of those, or someone who definitely has some good sound systems for whatever reason, that is who you go to. Especially if it's free, like a church. They're not going to charge you.
Seriously. Because, that's right. Churches really appreciate the art of music. Music is present in every church. So if you go and you say, hey, I'd like to record some music, in your space, they'll be like, okay, can you come on Tuesday at 3:00 when everybody's here?
Exactly.
That's, it's super, super convenient and super, gracious of them to do that. But a lot of churches, like we said, are already equipped to record sound, but you can also kind of bring your own setup if you have to. And you can record it that way, and it sounds like a live performance. And then that's another way you can do it. So you can make it sound like studio, or you can make it sound like, I just did this. And that's great for recording, audition videos and audition audios as well. Anything that I've ever had to send in a video for, I've done in, a church sanctuary. So it's that sort of same process if you're planning on releasing that music to the public. But to summarize, absolutely do it. You can't perform, so make music elsewhere.
Absolutely.
It's so intuitive. If you can't, figure out the technology, and if you're, falling behind everybody else in terms of getting your art out there some way during this pandemic, seriously, you're going to fall behind the times, and nobody wants that.
Exactly. The name of the game is get creative, especially in a time like this, to where not everything is going to be 100% accessible. You need to get creative and get out there and just go. This is the time to get creative.
Yep, absolutely. In an age where, digital music costs, $10 a month on Spotify, and, seeing music live could cost you your life, there's an obvious choice, and that's to, do what's safe, but also do what's new, because we have no idea what the music industry is going to look like after this is all over. It could just go back to the way it was, or people could realize, you know what, we were kind of too close to each other this entire time. Maybe digital music becomes the new norm. That's scary, but if you're a musician, either you take that by the reins or you're not a musician anymore.
Exactly.
So things are constantly changing, but you have to kind of learn from, all those kids in high school who were like, check out my SoundCloud rap album. Like, they kind of knew what they were doing before
That's the path you have to take. That is what you do. As cringy as it may be, especially at that age, like, maybe that's not the material that you go for, but I mean, my God, yeah, you have to just do it, just put your stuff out there.
Exactly. It's, it's a hard time for everybody, and when people are in hard times, they make art and they make music. And classical music and opera has existed for so long as an outlet for people during politically hard times, societal hard times, anything that's ever happened, there's an opera that's been written about it. Anything that's ever, any hardship that humans have ever had to endure, like, breakups and deaths and, unrequited love, there's an art song about it. That's so incredibly beautiful, and in this time, there will be an opera written about this. I promise. Me and Eric will be starring in it. Met Opera 2046.
Just wait for it. Just wait for it. We're calling it. We're manifesting
it. Absolutely. It's so important to release your stress and tension and heartache and fear in that way. And if you can't do it live, then do it on Spotify.
Exactly.
So, that's all I have to say about that. That's my closing remark. Eric, if you had any closing remarks.
Follow me on Instagram.
Yes.
Follow me on Instagram. Yes, it is just E and then Eric Rydell. Like my name, just with 2 E's at the beginning.
Yes. Do that and keep up with his release, because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing.
Oh,
Can't wait.
Thank you.
And I probably won't release any more music anytime soon, so don't worry about that.
I'll make you.
You'll make me.
If we have to do a collab, if we have to do a collab record, so help me, I will do it.
Oh, all right, guys, 2021.
Had to throw it out there. Sorry.
Okay.
Had to throw it out
there.
All
right. Okay. So yes, you can find me on Spotify and Apple Music. Just my name, Carrie Sullivan. And hopefully you'll enjoy my mental, emotional anguish in song form. And follow Eric on his socials and keep up with his music journey. We obviously, as I said, can't wait to see it. And Miami Opera is, we're doing our best to keep up with the times. I'm not going to say anything about the season because I don't know if the season will be announced by the time this comes out. But follow us on our socials, Miami University Opera Theater, and keep up with what we're doing because we've got some really exciting stuff planned for this year, and you're not going to want to miss it. So we're going to go ahead and say bye to Eric. Bye, Eric.
All right, bye.
We're going to listen to a little bit more of the piece that we've been listening to this episode, and I'll be back in a few seconds for our next segment. with the time that we have left today, I want to try something a little different, and I want to talk about a song that I really like, and I want to talk about why I like it and just kind of enthuse for a few minutes. Now, this is a segment that I haven't tried yet, and normally, if we continue to do it, I'll bring on other people to talk about songs that they like, but until I know if it works, it's just going to be me today. So the song I'd like to talk about is quite basic. You've probably heard it before, but the song I'm going to talk about today is Widmung by Schumann. So if you've been living under a rock your entire life and you've never heard of Widmung, Schumann, when he married Clara Schumann, so this was, I believe, 1840, Schumann was writing a bunch of songs. He wrote over 100 later in 1840, and also in that year, he wrote a collection of songs of Lieder called Myrten, which he presented as a gift to his then newlywed wife, Clara Schumann, as a wedding gift. And so Widmung is the first song on this song cycle, and Widmung translates in German to dedication, and he could not have written a better song and set a better poem to start out this song cycle for his new wife. So this is one of my favorite songs. I have sung it myself, but I've also heard it sung a lot by baritones, which might be part of the reason why I like it so much, because there's nothing better than a good baritone. So a little bit about this song. So it starts out with this very majestic sort of intro in the piano, and it has this drive to it, and it along with, the text of the piece, it kind of gives you this feeling of like, you have these such strong feelings for someone, and you want to shout it from the rooftops. That's how you feel in this first section, and you just get a little bit of intro and a little bit of time to kind of ramp it up for the first, part of the song, this A section. Just majestic and just, letting out all your emotions. It's sweet, but it's like, I want the whole world to know how I feel about you. And it most certainly is a dedication, with, du meine Seele, du mein Herz. That's the first line. You my soul, you my heart. And this first, part of the poem really just is telling the person, you are everything to me. You're my soul, you're my heart, you're my bliss, but you're also my pain, because you love someone so much it hurts. You're my heaven and you're my grave, you're everything to me. And it's just so exciting and upbeat and happy, and it's really reflected in the way that the melodic line is. It's got some higher notes, and it's up tempo, and then you get into this B section where it really settles down and is more relaxed, and then you get into Du bist die Ruhe, du bist der Frieden, which means you are my rest, you are my peace. And it's kind of that other side to this love where, you're everything to me and I love you so much, but also there's a softer side of me that feels the same way, but in a more intimate and gentle kind of way. And I think that's amazing, and Schumann did such a good job with the orchestration for this, because the tempo sort of changes, it sort of comes back a little bit, it's lower, it gets into, sort of the lower range of the singer, depending on what your range is, of course. And you're bestowed upon me from heaven, your love gives me my worth, and you make me better, mein besseres Ich, my better self. And then after, you have that sort of intimate moment, it ramps right back up again, and you get into that second A section. Wonderful ternary form piece. I think it's ternary form. If it's not, don't correct me, I don't care. But you get back into this A section and it's excited again. It gets back into your higher range. And then, of course, the ending is different in this reprise of the A section than it is in the last one. But it ends very well. And it's very satisfying the way that it ends. So in lieu of finding a recording of this piece that has that Creative Commons license so we can actually play it on the podcast, I actually asked my dear friend Samuel T. Owens to record this for me. He's a wonderful baritone. I'm sure you'll enjoy his artistic rendering of this piece, so we're going to listen to that. Thank you, Sam, for recording this for us. We're so excited to listen to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up, and we're going to start now.
Du meine Seele, du mein Herz, du meine Wohn, oh du mein Schmerz, du meine Welt, in der ich lebe, mein Himmel, du, darein ich schwebe, oh du mein Grab, in das hinab ich ewig meinen Kummer gab.
Here comes that beautiful B section.
Du bist die Ruhe, du bist der Frieden, du bist vom Himmel mir beschieden, dass du mich liebst, macht mich mir wert, dein Blick hat mich vor mir verklärt, du hebst mich liebend über mich, mein guter Geist, mein besseres Ich.
Sam, give us a very nice tornado there.
Du meine Seele, du mein Herz, du meine Wohn, oh du mein Schmerz, du meine Welt, in der ich lebe, mein Himmel, du, darein ich schwebe, mein guter Geist, mein besseres Ich.
Very satisfying outro from the piano here. Love that. Love that cadence so much. Beautiful. What a beautiful song. I simply, I think it's gorgeous, and I love the sort of message. A lot of times when you're singing art song and aria, you can get into a lot of songs that just are about despair and losing, someone and someone not loving you back, or someone dying, and it can get really depressing after a while. And then you go back to really any of the songs in Myrten, but especially Widmung, and you're just reminded of that feeling when you love someone in these two different yet interconnected ways of being so passionate that you just want to tell the world about how you feel about this person, but then at the same time saving a spot in your heart for this sort of intimate and calm and really personal feeling, being vulnerable, being extremely vulnerable to the point where their love gives you worth and they're your better self. I just think it's great. I'm running out of things to say, but I just think it's great. If you haven't sung it, you should. It's really fun. It's a really fun piece. I will say that Sam took some of those sections a little slower than I normally would. and I think he was taking his liberties with the tempo there. But yes, that is normally a little bit, more upbeat, but I like the way Sam did it too. Yeah, so that's how I feel about Widmung. I hope you feel the same. It's a great piece, and it's a great song to sing if you love someone. To get a little bit mushy there on the podcast today. All right, so I hope this segment worked, and I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, we'll bring back some guests on some future episodes to talk about art songs and arias that they like, and I'm excited to see what all of my friends at Miami's favorite songs are. So, without further ado, we're going to take a couple more seconds to listen to the piece that we've been hearing in this episode, and I'll be back in a few seconds to get to the conclusion and credits of said episode. But one more time, I'd like to say a big, juicy thank you to Samuel T. Owens for recording Widmung for us today so that we could listen to it and not break any laws. Really appreciate that, Sam. Thank you once again. And yeah, I'll stop talking now. Let's listen to that piece, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you for listening to this episode of Maneuvering Music. We hope that classical musicians as well as singer-songwriters feel more confident in their abilities to learn to produce music during this time of lost work. A special thanks to Eric Rydell for appearing on today's episode. Make sure to follow him online so you can be informed about his upcoming release as it happens. The music featured in today's episode has been Felix Mendelssohn's String Quartet No. 2, performed by the musicians from Ravinia Steen's Music Institute. We thank them for graciously allowing the use of their recording in this podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this episode. My name is Carrie Sullivan, and this has been Maneuvering Music at Miami University.